Who might be abusing the legal system? Could it be the lawyers, in particular, the Democratic lawyers, must be efficiently and effectively held accountable? I couldn't agree more. There were immigration lawyers everywhere. It's because the immigration law firms are doing very well, because the government created a market for them. The AG shall consider the ethical duties that law partners have. Oh, when supervising your junior attorneys. So law partners, you're on the hook too. Trump targets the lawyers. A new executive order came out entitled Preventing Abuses of the Legal System in the Federal Court. And who might be abusing the legal system? Could it be the lawyers, in particular, the Democratic lawyers who have been fighting President Trump and many of other American constituencies for decades, often funded by the government via government contracts and more? Here's what Trump said, posting this March 22nd, says, here's the subject. We are now going to prevent abuses of the legal system and the federal court, saying lawyers and law firms that engage in actions that violate the laws of the United States or rules governing attorney conduct must be efficiently and effectively held accountable. And I couldn't agree more. Accountability is especially important when misconduct by lawyers and law firms threatens our national security, our homeland security, public safety, or election integrity. Recent examples from the White House of grossly unethical misconduct are far too common. Let's see who he's talking about. For instance, in 2016, Marc Elias, founder and chair of the Elias Law Group, was deeply involved in the creation of a false dossier. That was the Christopher Steele PP story by a foreign national, Steele, designed to provide a fraudulent basis for federal law enforcement to investigate a presidential candidate in order to alter the outcome of a presidential election. Elias also intentionally sought to conceal the role of his client, failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, in the dossier, right? Her firm hired Perkins Coie, which is where at the time Marc Elias was working, and working with them, they hired Fusion GPS as a subcontractor, who then went out and colluded with Christopher Steele, and they funneled it all up there and tried to keep it separate from Hillary. Meanwhile, Michael Sussman went to go shop the story to the FBI. The immigration system, he continues, where rampant fraud and meritless claims have supplanted the constitutional and lawful basis upon which the president exercises core powers under Article 2, is likewise replete with examples of unscrupulous behavior by attorneys and law firms. This couldn't be more true. Is likewise replete with this problem. Now, for instance, the immigration bar and powerful big law pro bono practices frequently coach clients to conceal their past or lie about their circumstances when asserting asylum claims. Just file it, no one's checking. All in an attempt to circumvent immigration policies enacted to present our national security and deceive the immigration authorities and courts into granting them undeserved relief. Gathering the necessary information to refute these fraudulent claims imposes an enormous burden on the federal government. And this fraud, in turn, undermines the integrity of our immigration laws and the legal profession more broadly, to say nothing of the undeniable and tragic consequences of the resulting mass legal immigration, whether in terms of heinous crimes against innocent victims like Laken Riley, Jocelyn Nungaray, or Rachel Morin, or the enormous drain on taxpayer resources intended for Americans. Now, I've seen something interesting in the legal world over the last 4 years for sure, which is the explosion of immigration law firms. And I've explained, I'm a part of some of these groups where there are people from all these different niches and industries. And at one of the last events I was at, there were immigration lawyers everywhere. And it's because the immigration law firms are doing very well, because the government created a market for them. And the immigration firms are catching it on both ends. Okay, when Biden was here and there was an invasion of people coming in, the immigration law firms needed to help this influx of literally millions of people. Could you imagine your industry just like creates a couple million customers for you because of the government? It'd be wild, right? Well, it's showing up in the real world. Like immigration law firms go from like $0 to $100 million. If they're smart and good, like I'm not trying to take anything away from them. They're serving a market that was created by the government, obviously, but they're immigration law firms, and you don't know what's going on right in there, because the same thing that's happening in the DC courts, where they're rigging the system with nationwide injunctions to try to stop Trump. We can see those, right? We can see what Boasberg is doing. We can see what Chutkan is doing. We can see what Reyes is doing. But you can't see individually what these immigration lawyers are doing for all these so-called immigrants. Oh, definitely your asylum. Oh, definitely. Next. Oh, asylee. Yep. Oh, next. Asylee. Oh, yep. Asylee. Yep. Perfect. Next. And you can't track that, right? Because they're all individual people, and those cases have more decentralization. So it's security by obscurity, and you can't trace that fraud. So this is trying to root that out. What is happening? Because it was like, Black Friday at Walmart or whatever, where everybody's just barreling the doors in to get the TV because the immigration firms knew it was a free-for-all. Biden wasn't doing crap. Just, whatever, come on in, no one cares. And now they're going to catch it on the other way out, right? So now Trump is deporting people and enforcing these laws. So now these immigration lawyers are like, well, you don't want to get deported, do you? So you come on in, we'll help you get your papers. Oh, you're about to get deported. Oh, you got to hire us now because you're going to get deported. So they're catching it on both ends. So they've just got, it's such a giant market. It'd be like, I'm a criminal defense attorney, right? So if I was practicing running my law firm and they just created 10 million new clients for us just overnight. Like, whoa, pretty good for business. So that's what happened with the immigration firm. So I think this is why they're focused on that. They've seen this, and I've got to imagine that it's just rampant with fraud because it was a free-for-all. Nobody was minding the store, and it was a candy store, and all the kids were just going hog wild. So for instance, the immigration bar has been doing this. Gathering the necessary information requires a lot from us, and we are going to fix it. So federal rules prohibit attorneys from engaging in certain unethical conduct in federal courts. Attorneys must not present legal filings for improper purposes, including to harass, cause unnecessary delay, or needlessly increase the cost of litigation. You must ensure legal arguments are actually warranted and that your facts are reasonably based. You're supposed to be ethical. And the text of the rule specifically addresses and provides for sanctions and more. So if you don't follow the rules of professional conduct, you're in trouble. Now, unfortunately, far too many attorneys and law firms have ignored these requirements when litigating against the federal government in pursuing these baseless partisan attacks. To address these concerns, I hereby address Pam Bondi, Attorney General, to seek sanctions against attorneys and law firms who engage in frivolous, unreasonable, vexatious litigation against the U.S. or in matters before departments and agencies of the United States. Let's go. Okay, so all those hack law firms, all of the gangbanger ACLU law firms, and all these pro bono lawyers, all those lunatics, in my opinion, who are jumping in on these cases, they're now subject of federal scrutiny. Oh, you're suing to attack the executive branch's lawful right to do business with you? Great, we're not going to do business with you. So Pam Bondi, right? Everybody who just filed just got on the poop list. All of them. They're on the poop list. I further direct Attorney General and Homeland to prioritize enforcement of their regulations governing attorney conduct and discipline. Now, I also further direct the AG to take all appropriate action to refer for disciplinary action any attorney whose conduct in federal court and before any component of the federal government appears to violate the professional conduct rules. In complying with this directive, the AG shall consider the ethical duties that law partners have. Oh, when supervising your junior attorneys. So law partners, you're on the hook too. You can't pass this off on some first-year associate. No. You must manage these folks. This is amazing. Including imputing the ethical misconduct of junior attorneys over to partners or the law firm when appropriate. Man, this is going to cause shockwaves throughout these little, 501c3s and all these entities that have been set up, because they'll just trace it back to the people who are the founders or the partners and say, no. This is actually being run by this firm or supported by this firm. That disgusting web, that weave of corruption where everybody's patting each other's back, they're just going to, you go here and here and here, you're all guilty. So it's going to chill those efforts, and they're all going to freak out because you saw what happens with Paul Weiss, that case that we covered yesterday. I further direct, when the AG determines that conduct by an attorney or law firm warrants sanctions, also in consultation with other senior officials, recommend the reassessment of security clearances by the attorney or termination of a federal contract. This has been so epic. Okay, they came out. They went after two of the big boys, Paul Weiss and Perkins Coie. Then they said, everybody else, you're on notice. Okay, you're next. Do not do this or else you're next. The relevant law firm or attorney has been hired. We're going to cancel your contracts and reassess your security clearances. So I further direct the AG, in consultation with any relevant senior executive official, to review conduct by attorneys and their law firms in litigation against the government over the last 8 years. If the AG identifies misconduct that warrants additional action, such as filing frivolous litigation or engaging in fraudulent practices, the AG is directed to recommend to the president, through the assistant to the president for domestic policy, additional steps that must be taken, including security clearances, contracts, and any other appropriate actions, saying law firms and individual attorneys have a great power and obligation to serve the rule of law. The AG, alongside counsel to the president, shall report periodic improvements to capture this hopeful vision. Yeah, and it's not like these law firms are not entitled to a relationship with the federal government. If you abuse it by trying to weaponize your law firm and your litigation against political people in America, and you lose, like, that's a gamble. If you want to play that game, play the game. They did. They all did. They all played that game knowingly. They're not dumb. They were doing this under the prospect of eliminating and taking Trump out. Well, they played around, man. They took a shot at the king and they missed, so now they lose. So that's fair. They're big boys and girls. They know what they're doing, and many other things, because these are big law firms with multiple, 37 drop downs. So they'll be fine. They'll figure it out, and they can still exist. They can go get clients, and all the Democrat billionaires can go hire them to continue their hackery. That's fine. Fund them. But we don't need to do it. They don't need security clearances and interfacing with an administration that they were trying to take out. Get out of here. So perfectly reasonable. You're going to hear a bunch of this is tyranny. They can't do. No, they can't. What are you talking about? He didn't say that their law licenses are removed, like the 65 Project was trying to do, like the Biden administration was trying to do to doctors who were challenging them on COVID, or challenging doctors on COVID or January 6th, representing any Trump officials, said you should lose your licenses. Trump didn't say that. He's just saying you lose your security clearances. We can't trust you. You were already coming to attack us before we got in here, so we can't trust you now that we're in here. So goodbye and good riddance. Now they're going to cry foul. There'll be a billion lawsuits over this. You can't take this away, whatever. But again, in practice, the administration has made this change. And I really like how they called out Marc Elias and his law group. This is called the Scarlet Letter of the White House, just to be clear, right? Marc Elias, founder and chair of the Elias Law Group, was deeply involved in a fake dossier. So memorialized from the White House in a memo to the AG for all eternity. And Marc Elias can read it and weep. And he did. In fact, Marc Elias is freaked out. Marc Elias posted this week, says, I worry, but I fight. Look at all these white people hands. What is this? Is this white Nazis going on here? Says Marc Elias. People ask him all the time, are you worried, Mark? Of course I'm worried, he says. The President of the United States considers me an enemy and has promised retribution. I would be an idiot not to be worried. But I'm not going to give in. I will continue to fight. Okay. So he's freaked. Well, that's what happens when you commit crimes. In my opinion, he committed multiple crimes. In 2023, Kash said he's a criminal. After signing the executive order, Trump is now coming after him. And he wrote this before this order that just came out today. This was on the 18th. Trump's new order came out the 22nd. And he says, instead, this is simply not who I am. Instead, I will worry, I will hope, and I will fight. Marc Elias, fight. Okay. Well, he's going to have to fight a lot more now because his law firm just got obliterated. And I don't know why he's continuing to support these Nazi salutes with all these white people, but that's Marc Elias having a tough time. He said this earlier, that he's proud of what they did at their law firm.
Didn't just beat them, but this is one of the things I wrote about. It was a humiliating exercise for them. Stephen Miller got hauled before, a Fox News host and told to pay me $500 million to simply stop litigating against them. I include some quotes from Steve Bannon, and Kash Patel having to say that, how successful we were in court. And I think that Donald Trump found that both, the fact that he lost the election was humiliating. The fact that his lawyers were.
It's so much cope. He just beat you and the entire Democratic Party, beat your law firm, beat your litigation, beat Perkins Coie, beat your former law firm, beat everybody. So who got humiliated? I think it's you. And now you're writing articles about how worried you are. So nice try.